My name is Martin Carle, MSYP. I am MSYP for Aberdeen Donside. I have blonde hair, I wear glasses and a blue shirt. Welcome to the final session of today's Unpacked Festival. I hope you have been enjoying it so far and have learned something or been inspired by something along the way. The first of our sessions today was on the theme of unpacking pollution, and the second session gave us some ideas about the small things that we could all be doing to make do and mend. I personally found these both really interesting sessions, and I hope you did too. This afternoon's session invites us to take our thoughts and ideas further and to realise some of the ways in which we can use our own voices for campaigning on environmental protection. There are so many ways in which you can campaign on environmental protection, and we're excited to hear and to show you some of the more creative and unique ways that you can do this. The session begins with an insight into animation activism. Our friends and partners at the Scottish Wildlife Trust and Scottish Badgers will be taking us through this. From then, you're going to hear about how the Scottish Youth Parliament has used a similar creativity to campaign using poetry, as you may have seen already. And this session will share tips and tricks on how you can do this for yourself. I will be back for our third workshop, and alongside Jack Bell, MSYP, we'll be sharing some of our own experiences with campaigning and how to organise campaigns as well, delivering a workshop sharing some useful tips, tricks and activities along the way. To bring the session to a close, we'll hear from Perth Grammar School and hear more about what they have been doing locally. As I'm sure you'll agree, this session sounds really exciting, and all that's left for me to do is say thank you for joining us this afternoon, and I really hope you enjoyed some of the sessions today. Feel free to share your experiences of this afternoon on Twitter with us at officialSYP and using the hashtag #SYPReducePollution. Thank you.
Can you answer this question in 30 seconds? What percentage of the UK's total annual carbon and water footprint comes from clothing consumption? A, 2%, B, 3%, C, 4%, or D, 5%? So what percentage of the UK's total annual carbon and water footprint comes from clothing consumption? So the answer is D, 5%. Did you get this one right? So yeah, well done. So now on to the next activity.
Welcome to Animation Activism, Digital Storytelling to Inspire Action. I'm Elaine Rainey and I work on a project called Earn Your Stripes, Building Skills to Champion Wildlife. This is a partnership project between the charities Scottish Badgers and the Scottish Wildlife Trust, funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund. I have long fair hair and I'm wearing a green top. In this workshop, we're going to be sharing why we think digital storytelling is such a great tool for environmental activism. We're going to look at what it is, why it's so effective, and how to create great stop motion animation for yourselves. So let's get started. Human beings are great communicators. What sets us apart as a species is our ability to tell stories. In the olden times, these stories would have been told around a campfire, a way of learning from each other, passing on information, connecting, inspiring, and solving problems. Nowadays, with social media, it's never been easier to step up, to tell your stories, to champion the causes you really care about. However, sometimes environmental issues can be difficult to grasp. whether that's due to the scale of global issues such as climate change or the plight of a non-human species that may live very differently to ourselves. And this is where creative work really starts to come into its own. Digital storytelling using animation is whimsical. It lightens those serious situations just enough to make them palatable. It activates our imagination and it absorbs the listener. Digital storytelling is an action you can take as an individual, whether you're not ready to take part in collective action or if you're just not inclined to do so. So it's a great tool for the eco-warrior introverts amongst us, and it also works really well as a collaborative endeavour. Stop motion animation is a technique that uses a series of shots, with each shot in the series being slightly different from the last. So when they're all viewed in a sequence, it gives the appearance of movement. Here's a short example. Possibilities with stop motion animation are endless, so you can really get innovative with it. There's lots of great stop motion apps that you can download to help create your animations. Some even have what's called an onion skin feature, where the previous shot is overlaid on the current one, so you can see the change and precisely plan your next shot. Google Photos even has an animation facility to pull photos together into a stop motion animation. Before we go further with how to do this, we're going to look at some things you might like to consider when designing your stories. A great visual combined with a great story and a clear call to action equals great animation activism. You want to leave your listener educated, inspired, and wanting to do more. Try to consider how to keep the listener's attention from beginning to end. Think of what barriers the listener might face to listening the whole way through and try to overcome those. In terms of stop motion animation, the possibilities with regard to props, characters, and backgrounds are endless. There are so many great opportunities for innovation. First up, let's take a look at camera angles. The downshoot is the most commonly used angle for stop motion animation, as the flat surface removes any issues with keeping props upright, having to fight gravity, etc. Here is an example of downshoot animation. Straight ahead is the next most commonly used angle, and here's an example of that. Other angles you may like to consider include close-up, zoom in, worm's eye view, or over the shoulder. Over the shoulder is a great one to use if you want to show a certain character's unique perspective within your story. You might choose to use multiple viewpoints to really help the viewer place themselves within your story. If you're doing this, make sure you spend enough time at each angle so that the viewer can really take in and absorb what they're seeing. A strong start to your story is vital, as your listeners will make a decision within the first few seconds as to whether or not they'll continue watching. Your opener should draw the listener in, absorb them in your story, and activate their imagination. You might want to ask a strong question at the beginning that you will answer through your video. Keep it short and punchy, with just enough content to inform without overloading the listener. Videos of no more than a few minutes work best on social media. Consider pacing, rhythm, and transitions. In sections where you're presenting lots of facts, allow people time to absorb those facts. The right music and sound effects can really support your story, adding embellishment or heightening emotion where it's needed, and helping the brain to transition through the narrative and to stay connected to the story. Think about accessibility, considering listeners with visual or auditory challenges. Do you need subtitles or a voiceover? Think about how you want to present the problem, to pitch the problem at the right level for your audience. We're not all scientists, but we don't need to be to grasp the concepts and the problems and to take action on them. So think about pitching the information you present to your audience to make it inclusive and to make sure that people don't switch off because they don't understand. How can you use your unique voice and how do you use your emotion as part of your content? Really serious issues can be brought alive in a personal and powerful way, connecting the audience to the story. So your unique combination of passion, skills, knowledge, and ideas brings something completely unique to the table. No one else has the exact combination of those things that you do. So never underestimate your influence, the impact that your unique voice can have on other people. Will you be the spark that gives someone else that light bulb moment, that aha moment where they suddenly see a problem or a solution with laser sharp clarity and are motivated to act on it? Seeing another person's passion is really infectious and can really help others to shift to a different mindset. So now we're going to consider endings. You'll initially present the problem, including the facts, figures, and the scale of the problem, but you also need a resolution at the end. What are the opportunities within this problem that you're presenting? How can we, as a listener, transform the situation? What would it look like if this problem was solved? And what would it look like if you, the listener, were to take action? Think about how the listener is going to feel at the end of your video and how you want them to feel. Are they leaving feeling empowered? Without any sense of hope, the listener can become despondent and walk away from the problem. We can lose our audience and leave them feeling powerless. We need to empower the listener with solutions small, medium, and large, whilst acknowledging our differences in our ability to act, whether that's through time available, various personal circumstances, ability, etc. So in communications and marketing circles, we refer to this type of ending as a call to action. So it's important to offer different calls to action. You might like to consider including the option of joining an existing, well-established and relevant campaign if such a thing is available. We should never underestimate the power of those little commitments, or what we like to refer to as atomic actions. And we should always give options for small steps. Think about what calls to action you will include and keep them concise. So once you've considered these aspects, it's time to put your story together. Let's talk about using a storyboard. A storyboard is a visual representation using drawings or illustrations to map out the flow of your animation. It's a great way to break down each scene, to get clear on what you want out of each scene and to communicate that clearly with others who may be involved in the production process. For each shot on your storyboard, you can include a shot number or a label, plus a sketch showing composition, a written description of the shot, the who, what, where of the shot, and the general feel, including lighting, music, or other sound effects. You can download a storyboard app, or you can keep it really simple, like in our previous example. Now we're ready to look at stop motion animation. So how do you create your own DIY stop motion animation? We've created this short video to show you how easy it can be to create stop motion animations in your own home with very little kit.
Here's a short stop-motion film we made to show the underground life of a badger. Badgers live in underground sets, and their tunnels can be up to half a mile long. They sleep in chambers and are very clean animals, bringing back fresh bedding regularly. Badgers delay their implantation so they can have their babies at a better time of year. This is normally around February time.
So we hope you've enjoyed this short workshop on animation activism, and we hope that it's convinced you that stop motion animation is a really effective and fun medium for your awareness raising and activism. So we'd just like to finish by saying thank you on behalf of Scottish Badgers and Scottish Wildlife Trust for showing up today, and hopefully this is going to encourage you to speak out and to use your voice to effect change on the issues that matter to you. Thank you.
everyone, my name's Rosy. I'm the Events and Campaigns Officer at the Scottish Youth Parliament. You can see a picture of me on screen at the moment. I have brown hair, I'm wearing black and pink glasses and a blue hoodie. In this session, we're going to think about how we can use poetry to share a campaign message. Poetry can be a really powerful way to put across a message. You might feel like you're not a poet, but I think if you've got a story to tell, then you can be a poet, and everyone has a story to tell. I always think it's easier to write a poem if you don't have to start with a blank piece of paper. So we're going to start this session with a short activity to come up with some key words of inspiration. First off, I'd like you to think of a topic or an issue and write it down on a piece of paper. The topic I'm going to write my poem about is plastic. Next, write down 5 words that relate to this topic. My 5 words are bottle, sea, blue, drink, and water. I'm going to give you a minute to write down your words, and remember, they don't have to rhyme. Hopefully, you now have 6 words which you could use to inspire your poem. We'll come back to these words a little bit later on. Poems can be as long or as short as you want them to be. Haiku are a great example of a short form of poetry which traditionally is inspired by nature. This Japanese poetry uses 3 sentences in the order 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and 5 syllables to create a short 3-line poem. Here's an example of a haiku that was written for SYP's Pack It Up, Pack It In campaign, inspired by the words of a young person who responded to our campaign consultation. It shouldn't be a struggle to make the better choice for our world. Do you want to try writing your own haiku using the words you came up with earlier? Remember, it doesn't have to rhyme. I'll give you a minute to have a go. If you need a bit longer, you can pause the video or come back to it later on. Great, well done. If you finished your haiku, remember to share it with us at official SYP using the hashtag SYPReducePollution. Here's a wee haiku I wrote about plastic. A drink of water should not hurt the sea. Leave the plastic bottles be. This one rhymes, but they don't have to. And I'm sure you've come up with something even better. I can't wait to see what you've written. The next form of poetry we're going to look at is an acrostic poem. You might remember these from primary school. An acrostic poem spells out names or words with the first letter in each line. They often describe something or someone important. Here's an example of an acrostic poem we wrote for the Pack It Up, Pack It In campaign. Sometimes it's easy to care about the environment. Other days it's hard to remember. Look at the world around you and think about how nice it could look. Don't drop litter. Can you see the hidden words starting each line? Of course, it's Scotland. So over to you again. Pick one of the words you wrote down earlier to be your hidden word and write the letters down the left-hand side of your piece of paper. I'm going to use C as my hidden word because we don't have very long to write these poems. Now, I'm going to give you another minute to see if you can come up with an acrostic poem using your hidden word. Again, if you need more time, just pause the video. Great, well done. Did you manage to write an acrostic poem? Here's what I came up with. Sharks and turtles, eels and jellyfish are at risk if we drop litter. I'm sure you've come up with something even better than this. Remember to share it with us. I'd really love to see it. The third and final form of poetry we're going to look at today is blackout poetry. This is one of my favourite types of poetry because it involves drawing and colouring in. This style of poetry is created by blacking out words in a newspaper article and using the words that are left to make a poem. We're not going to do this during today's session, but maybe you could have a go later on and remember to share your pictures of your creations with us. Here are a couple of blackout poems as an example. The first one reads, "It came and now it's gone. Worldwide storms leaving only rock. What nature gives, it can take away. Falling down, slipping away, disappeared." And the second example is, "Fresh ripples of ruinous effects spread. Our survival always in my mind. Now is the time to care." These are both quite sad blackout poems, I think, but hopefully you can come up with something much happier or more inspiring. So that's all we've got time for in today's poetry session. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Please do share your poems with us and enjoy the rest of the day.
Between now and the 19th of September, we would like your views to inform our 2021 to 2026 manifesto from Scotland's young people. As the democratically elected voice of Scotland's young people, the issues we focus on and take action on come directly from the concerns raised by 12 to 25-year-olds across the country.
By sharing your views in this consultation, you will directly shape SYP's course over the next 5 years, as well as help us inform Scotland's political parties on what changes young people would like to see in the next Scottish parliamentary term.
Completing the survey will also earn you 150 Young Scot reward points. If you don't have a Young Scot Rewards account, it doesn't take long to set one up using your Young Scot National Entitlement Card. With your help, we hope to ensure that the youth voice is at the heart of political decision-making in Scotland.
Hello everyone, so it's Catherine, the Scotland Conservation Officer for the Marine Conservation Society, back at the beach, woohoo! And I'm joined by my colleague Tara, so nice to be back together beach cleaning again. And we're recording this video for the Scottish Youth Parliament's brilliant eco festival Unpacked to take you through the really easy steps to set up on how to do a beach clean, some citizen science, and learn about the litter that you might be seeing on your local beach and what you can all do about it. So why do we actually beach clean? Why do we head down to our local beach? Luckily, the sun's come out today, but even in the pouring rain, to remove litter. It's to protect our amazing wildlife and also to make sure our local beach is somewhere that everybody can enjoy. Sadly, we've seen reports over the decades of the terrible impacts litter can have on some of our most amazing marine wildlife. Two main issues are ingestion and entanglement. So ingestion is when our sea creatures are accidentally eating marine litter, and entanglement is when they're getting tangled up in it, so they can't maybe swim, they can't fly to eat, breathe or breed and get to where they need to. So we've got some pictures here that we usually show at the start of our beach cleans. So you can maybe see there that there's a poor seal that's got entangled in something around its neck, which would obviously restrict it being able to breathe and being able to eat properly. We've also then got one of our gull species that's got wrapped up in angling line. And we've even got the incredible leatherback turtle, the world's largest turtle that comes to visit our shores, has sadly passed away and stranded on a Scottish beach because it had eaten too much plastic instead of its favourite preferred food, jellyfish. So it's to protect all of these amazing marine species that we come out here and that we clean our beaches. So hopefully that will inspire you to keep watching and to take action afterwards.
Cool, so you might have done a beach clean before. If you have, thank you so much for doing that. But if you haven't done with Marine Conservation Society, then what you'll find is that what we do is a little bit different. So we don't just ask people to pick up the litter and take it away from the beach. That's really important, and we've explained why. But there's a second really important step we ask you to take as well. So we ask you to write down all the different types of litter that you find and how much of it. Just on a wee form like this, we're going to explain exactly how to do this. The reason we ask you to do that is it's part of a citizen or community science project. You guys are helping us to collect the data we need, the information we need. When we're talking to government, when we're talking to industry, to ask them to change laws and policies so that we can stop plastic getting onto the beaches in the first place.
Okay folks, so before we get really excited and head straight to the beach, we do need to do a little bit of planning, and this just makes sure that you're not going to clash with anybody else's event, that it's done safely, and we've let all the right people know what we're planning. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get yourself logged on to our Beachwatch website. So it's really easy. Website is just mcsuk.org/beachwatch. And on here, straight away, you'll see that we've now got additional guidelines on how to do our beach cleaning safely, not just from a marine litter perspective, but from a COVID-19 perspective too as well. So after watching this video, definitely please do log on to the website and read through all of the guidelines we've got there. You'll then, if you've not used it before, be able to register with Beachwatch down here, where you'll just have to need an email address to get yourself all logged in. So you've managed to get logged into the website. Good work, team. So there's a lot of information on the website, so this would be a great resource for you to have a look at after you've watching this video, as me and Tara are just going to be covering some of the highlights to get you guys excited and ready to go and take part in the citizen and community science project that is Beachwatch. So when you've logged in, what I would advise heading to first is the organisers tab. So this is what you're going to be becoming, is a Beachwatch organiser. Don't worry if you're not a very organised person, I'm not either. That's why there's all this information, and if, like me, you quite enjoy a list, head to the step-by-step guide, as that literally walks you through all the different steps that you need to take to get your beach clean up and running. From the basics about just how to find a beach, to checking things like tide times, and then what we're going to go on to next is how to contact the beach owner as well. So you're all registered on the website, you've chosen your beach, you've got yourself all registered on the website there. Remember, if at any point you come across any hurdles, you're not sure what's going on, we've got a fantastic Beachwatch team at head office, or me and Tara are always at the end of the phone or an email to help you get all set up. But the next thing that you need to do before heading to the beach is actually picking up your phone to ring the landowner.
So this is usually your local council, and they're usually a first good step to ask if the information isn't already on our website. So the reason that we ask permission to do the beach cleans is for a couple of reasons. One, it's to make sure it doesn't clash with somebody else who's maybe planning on beach cleaning that day. Two, they can maybe let you know if there's any hazards you need to be aware of for your risk assessment that you'll do, which again is just about thinking what risks are there to you and your family that are going down, whether it's slip, strips and falls, or mud flats, or maybe a busy road or train line next to it that you want to put down in your risk assessment. And they might also be able to help by lending out kits such as litter pickers, or be able to pick up the rubbish at the end of your beach clean and tell you where to leave it. So definitely make sure you make that phone call or even drop them an email to get that all confirmed before you head to the beach.
Okay, so you are ready to start a beach clean. You have got to the beach at your pre-arranged location. Maybe you're just with your family, with the folks who live with you at home, or maybe you've met with a friend. So I've got my team here today. So it's just the two of us. We're going to be doing this beach clean following all of the social distancing guidelines. So we're not going to be coming too close to each other, and we've brought our own kit. So neither of us need to touch the kit that each other are using. So that would be what you would need to do as well. Okay, I just want to show you what we've got. Beach cleaning kit is really very simple. Definitely wear gloves. These can just be gardening gloves or anything just to protect your hands from the kinds of dirty litter that you might find on the beach. Litter pickers definitely make life a lot easier. We can maybe help you get hold of these. They're also relatively easy to get hold of yourself. Obviously you'll need a bag to put the litter in and tie it up neatly once you've finished. We recommend, if you can, to take a small first aid kit. You will absolutely need your little survey form. You can just download that and print it off from our website. Definitely really handy for you to pop it on a clipboard like this. And then I've just got a wee bucket here. Again, this just makes life a bit easier. Maybe if you find some larger litter items that you don't want to put in the bag because they might break the bag. Especially maybe for sharp litter items, we're talking maybe bits of cans or glass, or even really horrible things like syringes. So just an important safety message there. Definitely don't touch any of those things with your bare hands. Only pick up those horrible sharp objects if you feel totally safe to do so, using a litter picker, ideally with a special sharps kit. They're quite easy to get hold of, and they can be disposed of in one of these special yellow sharps boxes. If you don't have one of these, then please never touch anything you don't feel safe to touch. You can pop it on the recording sheet, but you'll just need to leave it where it is. That's about it, so you really don't need much kit. Okay, so just before we can start cleaning the beach, one last thing to do. We want to mark out the area we're going to be cleaning. So by all means, you can clean as much or little of the beach as you like, but for the purposes of the survey, the litter survey, we're asking that you do ideally 100 metres length of the beach, but a minimum of 10 metres. We do recognise that for small groups, there's just two of us today, 100 metres might seem like quite a lot. So just to show you what I'm going to do, I've got some handy flags that you can use just a bag or a top or whatever, nothing fancy. So I'm just going to pop a wee flag in the start so I can very easily see where my start is. And I've got a tape measure here marking out 10 metres, but you can just pace it out as well, so I'm going to go off and do that. Exactly 10 steps. And that's the end of the survey line, so just 10 metres here. Okay, so just before we start picking up litter, we just need to make sure that we are in the right place on the beach. So you'll notice that the two flags here are along the what we call the strand line. That's where you tend to get all of the seaweed and things gathering on the beach. We collect all of the litter for these surveys from the strand line and to the back of the beach. So on this beach it's quite a small area. I'm just going to pace it out. You'll need to write that down on your form. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5 metres. So I'm going to write that down. 5.5 metres wide on this beach. These are all First thing with the form is to know that you just look for the different type of material first. So this one, glass, dead easy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the glass section, and the first thing on this section is bottles. So I'm just going to do a little line, just a little tally there. Okie dokie. This one obviously is plastic, so I'm in the first column and just going down to plastic bottles. So it really is that simple. We've also got a metal can, so you can imagine you know what's going to happen next. I'm going to metal, we've got a little line in here for can. These guys, we all recognise these coming around cans, and probably also remember that the reason they're bad for wildlife is unfortunately animals can maybe push their heads through or get trapped, getting tangled like we were talking about. That's a bag hook. So again, it's a plastic item, so I just go in here and do a little line. Really, really very simple. Some things you might not be able to find them on the form. So this guy, this type of bottle, this type of drinking container, a drinks pouch, isn't specifically listed on the form. The type of material is a bit confusing because it's plastic, it's metal, it's a mixture. So that's fine as well, because if you're not sure, just pop it at the end of every section. It says other. You can just write in, I've written drinks pouch there. So very, very easy. Okay, so when you're doing a beach watch survey, you're obviously picking up litter. You need to identify what it is so you know where to put it on the form. Some things are dead obvious. We all know what this is. Not everything though. If you saw this on a beach, do you know what it was? In fact, this is a wet wipe. We find loads of these on beaches all around Scotland, and the trouble is they're made of plastic. So folk are accidentally flushing them down the loo. They then go through the sewers into the sea, and they end up on our beaches. So people are contributing to the plastic pollution problem without even realising. If you find these on the beach, you go to the sanitary part of the form, and they're listed here, wet wipes, and you can see we found a lot in this little 10-metre section of the beach. Okay, so just to look at other things you might find on the beach that may be a bit harder to recognise. So this, any ideas? This is actually a cotton bud stick. It may look like a lollipop stick, but what I know from doing quite a few beach cleans, you look at both ends and what you'll see is it's got a little ripple lines, and that's where the cotton bud ends would be glued onto. The trouble is this plastic stem, again people are flushing it down the loo, and the plastic stem comes all the way through the sewers and onto the beaches. So you pop those into sanitary along with the wet wipes and things like that. Another thing you might find when you're on the beach are these. So these are called mermaid's tears, or even nurdles. We'll call them nurdles here. You can see they're about the size of a lentil or something like that, half a centimetre across, little tiny plastic pellets. They're called pre-production plastic pellets. Everything that we have that's made of plastic starts out life as these little guys and gets melted and moulded into loads of different shapes. Pretty much anything you can think of, including, for example, the cotton bud stick here. If you find these, we're not asking you to count every single one. They're pretty tiny and they could be very hard to find every one, but just record whether they're present or absent in your survey. And then what we do is we share that information, and you can take part in something called the Great Nurdle Hunt, another citizen or community science project, and that's where folk are recording these types of plastic all over the world, so you can be contributing to that important work too. Okay, so whilst we are looking for litter, what you'll find is you might well spot other things of interest. So this is a real treasure that I always love finding on the beach. You may know what this is. They come in various shapes and sizes, and that's how you can work out what sort of animal made it. But this is an egg case, so the egg of something called a thornback ray. Sharks often lay eggs as well, and they come in different shapes and sizes. So this is a really exciting thing to find on the beach. You can work out what sort of animal laid the egg, and then you can take part in another important project and share the information, what you found with the Great Egg Case Hunt. Okay, so we've now finished our beach clean, just taken the bag, and I just want to weigh it. This is not an essential step, but if you do happen to have a little luggage scales like I do here, it should be very easy, and it's like rewarding because you can tell the rest of your beach cleaners how much litter you managed to collect today. So today we've only collected 1 kilo of litter, but I'm very happy with that. That's 1 kilo that's no longer on the beach. I'm just going to write it on my survey form.
And now it's time for your awkward, socially distant beach clean selfie. Woohoo!
Okay, so thank you so much for and do that. The data that you collect will help us to put together this report. Inside the report, what you'll see from last year is some brilliant infographics showing all the data collected by people like you all around the UK. Now, what's really exciting about this is that it coincides with an international litter cleanup. So the information, the litter you collect here in Scotland, is adding onto a data set collected elsewhere in the UK and all around the world. So you really are helping to turn the tide on marine litter. Okay, so at the end of the beach clean, we obviously want to take our litter away from the beach. If you've agreed with your landowner to leave the litter in a specific place so that the council or someone else can collect it, then brilliant, leave it there. If not, then don't let that put you off. As long as you don't have too much, this is just one bag today, you can just pop it in your car and take it away with you. There we go, so we're good to go.
So you've arrived back home, you've washed your hands really thoroughly, made yourself a probably well-deserved cup of tea or coffee. Now is time to upload all that amazing data that you collected from your beach clean and litter survey. So you guessed it, we're back onto the MCS UK Beachwatch website and you're now heading to the exciting Submit Survey Data button. Now there'll be a series of questions that you've got to fill in, like the dates and the times and the length. But then basically the most important bit is this down here, where it's just an online version of the form that you filled in. So if you can just type in all the numbers of all the different things that you found, and right at the bottom, you'll then be able to click Submit, and that'll be your data uploaded to our national database, ready for us to use to help change marine litter policy. Now, what we think is really important about the Beachwatch survey is feedback to volunteers. So what you might want to do is share the findings from your beach clean with everybody that joined you. So once you've uploaded your survey data, it will come up on your beach page with the date down here, and you can then actually click on that survey and it'll bring up all the information that you collected, so you're able to share that. So this is all of the details, but up at the top, if you actually click on Survey Summary, it'll actually give you a PDF that you can then download, and it's brilliant. It's then got loads of infographics that you can share, and it might actually make you think about what to do next. Was there a particular problem at your beach that you maybe then want to start running a mini campaign on? It's all about sharing this information and sharing what you've done, and as always with any type of science, the more often you can do it, the more data you collect, the more evidence you will have to get the changes that you need. So all of these numbers will start going down on our beaches. So sadly, it's time to leave the beach. But we've had an amazing time recording this video for the Scottish Youth Parliament for their online Unpacked Eco Festival. So enjoy watching all the other content today, and hopefully it'll inspire you to do an extra action or to do some extra research on what we can all be doing to protect our precious blue planet. So keep safe everyone, and we'll hopefully see you distantly on a beach soon. Goodbye!
Can you answer this question in 30 seconds? What is the name of the little pellets that are used to make plastic products? A. Nodules, B. Noodles, C. Needles, or D. Nurdles? What is the name of the little pellets that are used to make plastic products? The answer is D. Nurdles. Did you get it right? Enjoy the next session.
Welcome everyone to this session, and thank you for coming to our Effectively Campaigning workshop. My name is Martin Carle, MSYP. I'm member of the Scottish Youth Parliament for Aberdeen Donside. I have blonde hair, I'm wearing glasses, and I'm wearing a blue hooded sweatshirt.
Hi there everyone, my name is Jack Bell, MSYP. I'm the MSYP for Perthshire South and Kinrossshire. I have brown hair and I am wearing a burgundy shirt at the moment. In this workshop, we're going to think about effective campaigns that have influenced change. We'll also talk about how to build an effective campaign and share some of our tips for campaigning. This session would usually last about an hour. However, we only have 20 minutes, so let's just get stuck in right away.
To start with, we would like you to think of a well-known campaign on an important issue. Write it down on a piece of paper or on your device and try to remember the answer to the following 2 questions. What did it aim to achieve? And was it successful? And if it was successful, why? We're going to give you a minute to do this. If you're watching with a friend or family member, you could discuss it with them. And you could let us know your thoughts and feelings by tweeting us at official SYP using hashtag SYP Reduce Pollution. We're going to set a timer now. See you in a minute.
Campaigns can come in all shapes and sizes, but ultimately, what a campaign aims to do is to change something. For SYP, it's really important to recognise that even the smallest action can contribute to a huge change, and the more people who are involved in taking small actions, the louder the collective voice can be. Hopefully, as we come to the end of today's Unpacked Festival, you've collected lots of ideas of actions that you can take to help to protect the environment.
To design SYP campaigns, we use the Think, Plan, Do, Review cycle. First, we need to think. What is the actual issue you want to address? Next, we create a plan. How are you going to run an effective campaign for the problem you want to solve? Then, we do. What activities are best placed to achieve your objectives, and what do you need to do to make these activities happen? We always review throughout the process. How will you keep track of how your campaign is progressing?
As this is a cycle, when we've reviewed our campaign's progress, we go back to the start of the cycle to think about any other issues or actions that we need to take, and to then plan and do them. Campaigning is an ongoing process, and we think it's really important to go through all of these steps to help us make our campaigns as effective as possible. For any campaign to be effective, you first need to know what it is you're trying to change. But we can't tackle a problem if we don't know why it's a problem, as there are often underlying issues. So in order to make a real change, we need to identify the root cause of the problem you want to address. We're going to use a problem tree to break down this process. If you can, draw out a tree on your piece of paper and think of an issue that you would like to campaign on and write it in the middle of your problem tree. Write the effects of this issue in the branches of the problem tree. What does this problem look like? What's the impact of the problem? Finally, write the causes of this issue in the roots at the bottom of the tree. So why does the problem exist, and what makes the problem a problem? This activity can be a great way to start thinking about issues, as sometimes the thing you want to change is actually the result of something bigger. It might work out that to change the thing that you want to change, there's another issue that you need to tackle first.
So now you've drawn your problem tree, we're going to show you an example we've prepared in advance. The issue we've identified is that there's too much litter in our communities. We've written this in the middle of the tree. The effects of this issue are, it makes our streets look dirty, it can put people off spending time outside, it can attract rodents, which spread diseases, it is damaging to the environment, and if some people see that an area is dirty, it can make them think it's okay to drop litter. There are lots of other effects of dropping litter. Can you think of any more to add to our tree? There are lots of things that can cause this issue as well. The examples we've come up with are In some areas, there aren't enough bins, or the bins that there aren't secure, so it's really easy for litter to overflow or to blow out in the wind. In some areas, there also aren't many recycling facilities, so general waste bins get too full of too much rubbish that could otherwise be recycled. Some people might not understand the negative impact that littering can have, while sadly other people might not care. And like we said before, if some people see that an area has litter, it can make them think it's okay to drop litter. Again, there are lots of other things that can cause littering. Can you think of anything else to add to the roots of our tree?
Our next task is to think about what action could be taken to try and tackle your chosen issue. At SYP, we try to take action on both a national and a local level during our campaign cycle, but you might want to think more locally if this is the first campaign you've run, or if you're doing it by yourself. If you think of a national level action, write it around the branches at the top of your problem tree. If you think the action is a local grassroots action, write it in the space around the roots at the bottom of your problem tree. This activity helps us to think about the actions we could take to make change. It's a great way to get all of the ideas down on paper. If you're thinking about organising an environmental campaign, you might have come up with some action ideas from today's festival. After you've made a note of all your action ideas, you can use them to work out a timeline, what needs to happen when, and what resources you would need to help you carry out your campaign.
Once we've worked out the actions we want to take, we would next go on to thinking about who our campaign allies are. These are the people we want to get involved in helping our campaign, both locally and nationally. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to do this today, but please bear this in mind when you're planning your own campaigns. The more people involved in a campaign, the louder your voice will be, and the easier it is to spread the load.
Well done, everyone, for all of your brilliant work in this session. We don't have time to develop our campaigns any further today, but I hope you learned a few helpful tips for the future. We'll close off with some final SYP tips for campaigning.
Adapt what is already available. Don't reinvent the wheel. Are there any existing campaigns or groups working on the issues you've identified? You could start by getting in touch with them to find out how you can get involved in their work.
Make it positive. Focus on why the change is positive, rather than negatively campaigning by criticising or using aggressive tactics.
Take small steps. Campaigning is rarely a straight line and can take longer than you expect to make big change. Celebrate the small wins and pause along the way to take stock of where you're at and where you need to go next to reach your overall goal.
Think local. Don't try to change the world. Focus on a single issue or small changes which will contribute to the overall big picture.
Don't go it alone. Successful campaigns are rarely won by individuals. The more people are involved, the more voices there are to amplify your key messages and to delegate tasks to.
Involve everyone. It's really important to make sure that the people who are affected by the problems you've identified are involved at all stages of the planning and delivery of a campaign. This will make it much more powerful.
Think outside the box. Be creative and use the resources you have available to you. You don't need a huge budget or even any budget to influence change.
And finally, keep smiling. Effecting change can be hard. If you're not enjoying your approach, take a step back and work out how you can change it so that you start to enjoy it again.
We hope you've enjoyed this session today. There are lots of resources on the SYP website which you can download to help you develop your environmental campaign activities. The website is www.syp.org.uk. Good luck, and thank you for taking part in today's session.
Can you answer this question in 30 seconds? There are more microplastics in our seas and oceans than there are stars in our galaxy. True or false? So there are more microplastics in our seas and oceans than there are stars in our galaxy. True or false? The answer is true. Did you get it right? So well done. Now on to our next activity.
Hi there everyone, my name's Jack Bell MSYP and I'm the MSYP for Perthshire South and Kinrossshire. I have brown hair and I'm wearing a burgundy shirt. Today I'm really proud to introduce for you an amazing group of young people from Perth Grammar School, which is my former high school, and they've been striving to reduce pollution in our local community. The Climate Champions Group was formed after winning a competition from the Hunter Foundation that involved producing a video outlining what we as young people would do if we had the power to make the world more environmentally friendly. This led to an evening spent with Sir David Attenborough enjoying a sustainable meal in Edinburgh, an occasion that I'm sure the group will never forget. The original video, titled "If You're Not Uncomfortable, You're Not Listening," captured the hearts of the dinner attendees and the judging panel, and because of its success, the group has produced a second video titled "Now We've Got Your Attention" during lockdown, which you will get to see today. You will also hear from Ishbel and Daisy, two members of the group who have very bravely offered to talk about some of the group's local success. If you would like to follow the group's activity, you can go to @RRSA_PGS on Instagram and @RRSAPGS1 on Twitter. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this session.
Hi, my name is Ishbel. I have blonde hair and I'm wearing a blue jumper to match my blue eyes. One of the things Perth Grammar have done to combat the climate crisis is we've introduced a new recycling system into our canteen, as we recognise that before it was just one bin, general waste and recycling all going into the same thing, which was not good, as there was many things that could have been recycled and weren't getting recycled. So to change this, we have quite a cool and funky system, I'd say. We have a bin which is shaped as a plastic bottle, so people know by the shape of it that it's only for plastic bottles. We have one for cans, shaped as a can, only cans go in it, and we have one for general waste which has clear panels at the front, has two sections you can put the rubbish into, so two different bins but kind of joined together, and at the top we will display a question and people can put their rubbish in the bin for which one, if they say yes or no, or they agree or disagree. So it's just quite a fun and clever way to manage our recycling as a school. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Hi, I'm Daisy. I have light brown hair and I'm wearing a blue jumper, and I'm a pupil at Perth Grammar School. We've recently been doing a lot to take climate action. We've organised some day trips, so one Saturday a lot of us went down to Tulloch Lade, which is sort of an area near us. It's known for having quite a lot of litter, and there was a big litter pick there and it was brilliant and everyone loved it, and it was really impactful. It cleared up a lot of the area and it was just really great. Another of these trips, I think 12 of us went to Willowgate Activity Centre, which is kind of a water sports centre, and it was really great. We went on cat canoes, which are 6-man canoes, and we sailed across the River Tay and went to the other side, and we went on a huge litter pick there as well, and the litter was astounding. It was crazy how much we picked up. But yeah, it was a really good day out, and I think everyone learnt quite a lot. You wouldn't expect that much litter to be there, but it was really great seeing that we had made a change. And we went back in the afternoon and we sat and did a little workshop, and it was really great. Yeah, so that's one of the ways that we've been tackling climate change at our school.
Now we've got your attention.
It's time to talk about action.
Amidst all this panic that the virus has caused, are you looking out your window?
Nature is taking over.
Nature is taking its opportunity.
Isn't it time we take ours?
We've shut our doors to the virus, but we can't shut out this chance.
Clear waters, clear skies.
But do we have clear minds?
In the rush to return to normal, we need to ask ourselves,
what normal do we want back?
What do we want to leave behind?
We need a new sustainable normal.
A normal with litter-free streets.
A normal with quieter roads.
A normal with biodiversity.
A normal with low CO2.
A normal with no stopwatch on our lives.
We have almost come together.
We have almost changed our ways.
It's easier than we think. Every ripple makes a wave. The flip of a switch, a swap or a stitch.
Every step makes a difference. We promise.
We swear.
Right now, we are apart, but we have never been more united.
The time to heal is now.
And we've not known this now before.
One crisis changed our lives.
Why won't another?
We have to move forward.
Before there is nothing to go back to.
So now we've got your attention.
Will you do something this time?
Will you do something?
Will you?
Will you?
Will you?
Hi everyone, my name is Jack Bell and I'm the MSYP for Perthshire South and Kinrossshire. I'm also a member of SYP's campaign delivery group that you've been hearing from throughout the day. I have brown hair and I'm wearing a burgundy shirt. Wow, so where do I start with talking about such an incredible day? I think that the only way to begin is by thanking everyone who's contributed to Unpacked's success. Thank you to all of our speakers who have given us such a deep insight into various topics related to environmental protection and activism, and for inspiring so many of us around Scotland and the world to take action. Thank you to SYP's superhuman staff team for helping the campaign delivery group to bring Unpacked to life, especially Rosy, who has supported us all the way from the conception of the campaign until now, and to Rachel, who has worked so hard on making the day run smoothly on a technical level. Thank you to the MSYPs who have spread the word about Unpacked and contributed so much to the campaign over the past year. And most of all, thank you, the viewers at home, for joining us today to learn about Pack It Up, Pack It In, to get involved in climate action both on and offline, and for giving your Saturday to such a pressing cause. I really hope that you've enjoyed the festival as much as I have, and that you've perhaps picked up a new skill or hobby along the way. Personally, I found the session on animation activism to be of great interest. I believe that now might be the time for me to put those S2 computing skills back into good use. And while I may not live very close to a beach, one day I can see myself getting out onto the banks of the nearby river to do some cleaning up. While our event today may have come to an end, it is absolutely crucial that we, as a community, united behind a will to make meaningful, lasting change, work together to spread the lessons that we've learned and the passion that we've felt to more people, so that our message that reducing pollution is a key issue in today's society will make its way to decision makers, and that they should act on it as soon as possible. One of the best ways to be heard is to take your voice to social media, and with that we have one more challenge for you. Please get in touch with us at officialSYP on Twitter and Instagram, and using the hashtag SYPReducePollution, tell us how you plan to unpack pollution in your community, or what you've enjoyed the most about today's festival. Feel free to tag your friends or your local decision makers, like your councillors, MSPs or MP, so that they can see what you've been up to and to put environmental protection on their radars. Before we finish today, I would like to give you some links to where you can find out more about SYP, Pack It Up, Pack It In, and our manifesto consultation from Scotland's young people. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram at officialSYP, like I mentioned, However, you can also go to our website, www.syp.org.uk. Here, you can read detailed blogs by MSYPs about the campaign and find a link to our manifesto consultation, which is quick and easy to complete and allows your voice to influence powerful SYP policy for the next 5 years. The website also has a log of all of our active policy, and it lets you look up who your MSYPs are if you don't already know. It's a very valuable tool, and I really urge you to check it out. So once again, remember that the fight for our futures doesn't end once we switch off this live stream. From now on, we must always take a stance against actions that would harm the planet that we treasure so much. Always remember the butterfly effect. One action, one movement can take the world by storm and snowball into major change, as has been proven by prior SYP campaigns, such as Right Here, Right Now, which has led to a Scottish Government commitment to incorporate the UNCRC into Scots law, and by activists all over the world whose names are now written into history: Malala Yousafzai, Nelson Mandela, Greta Thunberg. Change can come about. All we need to do is light the spark of an eco-revolution. Thank you.